What's up, everyone? Alan Jouban here as well.
So yeah, we have a show coming up here. Obviously, today we will talk about UFC Vegas 6, which had Derrick Lewis, the Black Beast, defeating Alexey Oleinik in the main event. Yeah. But first, Alan, of course, the continuing story of you and the battle with COVID. You look back to normal. What's the status?
It was a KO. I am back in the win column.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with it. I placed a little bit of my timeline of COVID-19 on my Instagram stories last night, just because people were kind of asking, what'd you do? How, was it bad? This and that. So I kind of just let everyone know. But all in all, about 2 or 3 days I was sick. After that, I felt really normal, but I obviously still quarantined for about 10 days, which they said is after that you're kind of not infectious anymore. You're not shedding. And then I waited 14 days from the first day of my symptoms, 14 days later, before I went back and trained in person with other people at a gym. So today was my first day back training, and it was fun. I felt really normal.
Yeah.
Obviously I was a little bit winded, but I was worried that, oh man, is COVID-19 like when you go to the hospital and they have to put you on an IV, and then when you come back out, you're starting from zero again.
Right.
What I'm getting at is I wasn't at zero at all. I was maybe like 85% of where I left off 2 weeks ago. But not nearly as bad as I thought. I think this week will be kind of a getting my body primed again week, and by next week I'll be able to pick up where I left off. So all in all, for me, I'm not downplaying the COVID-19 pandemic, but for me and a lot of people that had mild symptoms, it wasn't that bad. So I'm just happy I didn't infect anyone during my time with it. I didn't get set back too bad, and I'm able to move forward now and get back into training and get a fight.
Well, that's good, but be careful, because if you know the story of Jeff Neal, of what he's going through right now,
what is the story? Please.
Yeah, look at his Instagram and stuff. He thought he had it, and he went back to training too soon, and got real bad, and had to be in ICU and stuff like that. So went back too soon and went back too hard too soon. So just be careful.
I didn't know this, so that's why.
Yeah,
that's why the fight is off
with Neil Magny. Yeah,
he got COVID.
Yeah.
And so you said he got it.
Yeah. So hold on, I'm gonna
really
show you.
Man, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to look up his Instagram and see what's going on with that.
It's hands of steel,
really
right? Yeah,
Jeff.
So he had this whole post of him, in the hospital, and talking about how because he's had the past few weeks have been crazy, and all of these things. But yeah, he was in the ICU. And it's a crazy story. It was really basically that he went back too soon, I guess, and lungs got problematic and got bad, really bad. So just be careful.
Man, I'm so glad you told me. I'm after just going through it, obviously, I know, and like I said, I just did a timeline. So I know everything. Everything's still fresh.
Right.
Exactly how I did it. And speaking to a lot of people that went through it as well, they had very similar stories to mine.
Right.
So I'd be curious to reach out to him. I'm going to reach out to him maybe and kind of see what his symptoms were when he went back, because to continue with it, like I said, after 10 days, you get a letter in the mail. I got a letter in the mail from the California Health Authority, whatever the department was, and they said, you tested positive. We recommend you quarantine at home for 10 days. And then that's basically it. That's all they tell you. So I did the 10 days at home with a mask. I did not infect my family, but even after 10 days, I was still testing positive. But what they say is some people test positive for months. It's just the fragments of it are in your system, but you can't spread it. You're not shedding, etc. But I still felt uncomfortable to go back to the gym day 10, 11, 12, 13. I wanted to wait 14 days. And I feel like, I don't know his story, but I feel like if maybe I had went back at day 10, maybe I didn't quite have it out of my system.
Right.
Maybe it could have backlash, hit me again, or I could have spread it to someone else. So I don't know. So I'm going to look his story up. But it makes me realize that I am glad I waited that 14 days. I ended up testing negative on, I think, the 13th day.
Yeah.
And so I had a good session today. So we'll see. But I appreciate the heads up, and I'll have to check out his story, man. I hope the best for him.
Yeah, be careful. And so that's the thing, working these events now at Apex, they have a lot of testing. Obviously, we over in Abu Dhabi had tons of testing. So here's a look at my my ID, and with all the bracelets and things. So basically, right when you get there on Thursday, I got there, I had to get tested and go to my room and stuff. The next morning, you find out that you're negative on your COVID test, and they also have to take your temperature again. So then you can get on the shuttle to go over to work. So you go to work, and then on Friday, once we came back from work, you had until like basically 7 o'clock, 6 or 7 o'clock to get your last test. And then from there, you had to quarantine in your room. So you get your test and went to the room and just, hung out, I watched some Insecure and some Righteous Gemstones and, did some jigsaw puzzles on my iPad and stuff. Next morning, did my jump rope in the room and stuff, and then went and got my clearance. So one of these meant your test was clear, one of these meant your temperature was good, and then this was like access to the Apex Center. And so went over there, and it's a cool setup for people who are fighting there. It is pretty cool. It's not very big, and you can hear everything obviously, and it just feels very intimate. But we actually weren't supposed to go down on the floor or watch from our little area, so we were watching in a kind of a conference room. But like I said, Anthony and Mike are totally cool, and they're just easy to work with and stuff. So we had a good time. But yeah, so the fights were entertaining, but it was weird because we were like, oh my God, that's such a small cage for the Black Beast and Alexey Oleinik. You know what I mean? Yeah. We were like, those are two huge men. And earlier in the week, I don't know if you heard, but Derrick was kind of messing around, and in one interview he said, oh, I'm going to go to the ground with him, and like I'm going to test my grappling skills against Alexey Oleinik. And we were like, ha, Derrick. But then, of course, in that first round, he actually did spend a lot of time with him on the canvas. We were like, ha, Derrick, what are you doing? But that was crazy. But then, of course, right away in the second round, he ends up knocking him out.
Yeah. I tweeted it after, like, Derrick Lewis's ground and pound is some of the it's some of the most ferocious we've seen. And when he gets people on the ground, we've seen this I see this change in strategy the most amount in the heavyweight division. Yeah. You think about guys like Alistair Overeem, who are K1 glory champions, kickboxing champions, and at some point in their career, as they get older and with the heavyweight division, they take those striking credentials to the ground. When they get guys down on the ground, they use that power that they're able to generate into the ground and pound, and they start getting knockouts from their ground and pound because it's so powerful. What's his name? A friend of yours. He went over to Bellator. He was a French. H.E.A.T, thank you very much. H.E.A.T Congo. Remember H.E.A.T Congo came in? He was this striking, phenom, muscular guy, and then became this ground and pound guy. All he wanted to do was get a hold of you because he knew the type of damage that he could do. And it's the same thing with the Black Beast. Obviously, the Black Beast is not looking to necessarily take dangerous ground guys like Oleinik down. Right. But if he hurts you and you fall to the canvas, the Black Beast is no longer, or he's not, I shouldn't say no longer, but he's not at all scared to jump in your guard, jump on top of you, and put you, because he knows it's such a high percentage, especially if you're hurt like Oleinik was, that he can probably put the lights out on you. And that's just what he did. But I love his comment that he's the baddest blue belt in Texas, or whatever he said after. It shows his a bit of his character and a bit of his confidence on the ground as well.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that too. I thought that line was really funny. Really funny about the blue belt. But yeah, and he was saying that he was working more on his conditioning and everything. Like, he wants to lose 15 or 20 more pounds, because there used to be a time when, which is crazy, that he used to have, really cut weight to make the heavyweight limit. And I think he might have even still had to cut some weight this week. Don't quote me on that one, but I know in the past he certainly has, and sometimes it hasn't gone that well, and he's struggled to make it. And so he's been talking about wanting to be more of an athletic, version of himself and lose 15 or 20 pounds. And I think that's obviously a very smart decision. And, when you look at guys like Stipe, definitely has that more athletic build. Volkov, some of these guys are more lean. And I think, Volkov was beating Derrick right up until the last round when he wasn't. But that one was a fight that Volkov was winning. So I like that Derrick wants to do that, and I like that he's still, evolving and realizing that, he wants to be better. You know what I mean? He's not satisfied, and he wants to do more cool stuff in there. He wants to throw more flying knees, and you know what I mean? He wants to do cooler stuff, and so he wants to have the body to give him the agility to do that, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. And I see something in Derrick's style that tells me that would be a great move, because as big of a man as he is right now, every fight he throws like a jumping switch knee or a spinning back heel kick or a fly. Like, he wants to be a flyweight at heart. Like, I feel like Derrick Lewis.
Totally.
He wants to be, he's such a huge man, and you feel like he you look at him, you say this guy's going to be a grounded opponent in terms of he's just going to have his feet in the mat, swinging with power. But no, every fight, he's looking for this crazy. The finish in this fight came off of what? Didn't he do like a jumping knee? I think it was a switch knee, and then after that he threw an overhand right there or something that connected after. It would set up the finish. Was the athletic move? So yes, take 15 pounds of excess weight off and allow yourself to actually try to capitalize on some of these athletic moves. I think it's a great. I mean, he's not missing anything. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I'm gonna be only 225 if I lose 50 pounds. No, you're gonna be not having to cut to make the limit anymore. You'll still be like beast at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, for sure. That means he'd be like basically like 245 or something like that, which would be great.
A lean guy. And speaking of, I want to give Oleinik a little props. I didn't realize that Oleinik. Do you remember his age? Is he 42 or 44?
43.
43.
Yeah.
Oleinik is 43. He's got an 80-inch reach.
Yeah.
Okay? An 80-inch reach. He's 43 years old, and he looked jacked. I mean, he was so lean looking. You see the number of fights that he has.
Yeah.
I don't remember the number. It was like 60.
Well, he has 46 submission victories. Just 46 submission victories. Yeah, so listen, his record, it's insane.
And 46 first-round finishes.
Yeah, his record is 59-13-1. Now it's 59-14-1. And out of those 59 victories, 46 of them were submission victories. And out of those submission victories, he has like 12 different methods, right? Like, 'cause he has like the only 2 Ezekiels in modern UFC history, but he has like other Ezekiels outside of there. He had like 6 guillotines, 5 rear naked chokes, 2 Darces, 3 bulldogs, 5 arm bars, 2 leg locks, 2 heel hooks. Like, I remember I had to read this whole thing off the air and on the air, and it's just insane. Like, he has, like, he's ridiculous. 46 submission victories.
You said it really is amazing when modern day MMA, beginning MMA, whatever you want to say, any of it, nobody usually has even in the 40s or 30s amount of fights. You look at some of the best guys in the world. You look at Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell. You look at those guys that have been in the game the longest and hit the highest level. You look at their records. These are records that are like 17-10, 12-7. To have a guy like Oleinik, who's 43 years old, at that age, still looking shredded, and to have 59 or so victories in first-round submissions and first-round victories, competing against the best people in the world, it's truly amazing. He's had some off days. I will say that. We've seen him get TKO'd in the first round before. But he is still such a handful for so many people. And let's not forget, he had Derrick Lewis.
He almost won.
He had him in some tricky submissions at some point. If Derrick wasn't such a big-bodied guy, he would have probably been out. But Derrick's such a big guy, such a thick neck in his chest. I felt like Oleinik couldn't really get the rear naked choke grip around. And when he was going for these things, it was just literally the body type of Derrick kind of helped him. Not that he wasn't also defending, but the body type really allowed him to get out of those positions. So props to Oleinik. Happy for Derrick. Fun main event. Always entertaining post-fight interviews with Derrick Lewis. I love when he's on the card because you know you're going to get a fun fight and you're going to hear some antics at the end of it as well.
Yeah, no, he's great. And, you're absolutely right. Oleinik definitely deserves some respect and some props because, he almost had him. And I agree. It is simply, I think, because there was just so much between Derrick's neck and arm that, you just can't. You just really couldn't get in there. But yeah, no, the question, too, is obviously this weekend we have DC and Stipe fighting. And we, believe supposedly it's going to be the last fight for DC. It might also be the last fight for Stipe. So there could be a vacancy at the top. Francis Ngannou obviously should be getting a title shot. We have Junior Dos Santos is fighting Jairzinho Rozenstruik. So there's fights like that matter up there at the top. But so Derrick Lewis, again, though, has put himself in a really great position. And I think he was number 4 coming into this one anyway. Yeah, number 4 in the heavyweight division. So,
it's I don't know why I laugh when I think about this, but if Stipe and DC both end up retiring and there's a vacancy at the top, Francis Ngannou's got to be one of the guys that shoot into the number 1 position. He's a guy we want to see. And what happens if they put Derrick Lewis again? What I'm laughing at is how do you build that fight now? After Francis Ngannou and Derrick Lewis had the most boring fight in the history of the UFC, And now they're gonna have to build that and build a card around it. Like, you have to just show highlight after highlight of every fight they've had, beside from the one with each other, and just almost act like it didn't happen or something. I don't know what they're gonna do, but it'll be interesting to see how the PR department of the UFC tries to build that fight if it was to take place.
Yeah, it'll be like Ngannou Lewis, the apology. You know what I mean?
Yeah, something different, because we thought, don't blink.
Oh my God, don't blink.
It was literally just like,
dude, they threw like 30 punches in the whole fight or something. It's like the lowest amount of punches ever thrown in a heavyweight fight. It's literally like 30 combined punches or something insane.
Yeah. But I do have a feeling I'm making fun of the how do you promote that fight.
Right.
But I do have a feeling if they did step foot inside the octagon again, they would let it all hang out. I feel like they both said since then they learned their lesson. They're going to be more risk takers, and I know that feeling. My last fight was a boring fight, and when you're an exciting fighter, a boring fight, it feels dirty. It doesn't feel. It's like, oh, I don't want to be remembered about that. I don't want to be reminded about it. Let me offset this. Let me fix it. Let me correct it. And I feel like both men, it would be a really exciting fight if they did do a rematch.
Yeah, nice. I think so too. Well, listen, the co-main event had Chris Weidman coming back against Omari Akhmedov. And in this one, Akhmedov was ranked number 11. Going to this one, Chris wasn't ranked because this was his return to the middleweight division after going up to heavyweight and fighting Dominic Reyes and getting knocked out. He came back down to middleweight. And this camp, he went down to Carolina and trained with his in-law, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and, was looking lean and mean and looking good. We were not totally blown away by his performance. And to be honest with you, when he was talking to Megan after and also critiquing his performance, we were like, all right, good. Because Chris is a champion, right? He's a champion. And you could tell that was obviously a must win for him, and he felt all that pressure. And it wasn't a bad performance, but it wasn't what it could have been. And it's good to know that he knows that he's better than that still. That said, I am cautiously optimistic for him, though, because that was number 11, and it wasn't easy. And just above that, it's killer, tough guy, real tough guy, and Chris is never going to get a can. You know what I mean? Not that there's any in the UFC anyway, but because of who he is, he's never going to get an easy fight. And it's a hell of a road ahead of him.
So after the fight, I saw, what's his name, Marvin Vertelli. I'm sorry, Marvin, if I'm botching your name.
Vittori.
Was kind of calling him out on Twitter. Do you know where Marvin is ranked? Is he below or behind?
Marvin, actually, at this point, I'm not sure, but he might be up there at like number 10 or so, and he is a King's MMA guy.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what ranking he is right now.
So I saw Marvin, and I'm not trying to take the attention away from Chris, but just to set the backstory, Marvin has been on Twitter a lot lately saying everybody's ducking him. Nobody wants to fight him. The top guys, the other guys, who wants to fight anyone, nobody will fight him. I agree. I didn't think Chris Weidman's performance was that fantastic. I'm very proud of the guy for owning up to it after the fight, that he wasn't thrilled with it, but he got the victory. And I do agree. At the end of the day, all you see is a W.
Right.
You see the win, and you can build off of that. It's something to get momentum off of. Another loss would have devastated Chris and his career.
Oh, yeah.
He may have retired. Who knows? I mean, that would have been the camel.
That would have been bad.
The camel's back. So he got this. He could build off of this. But it was not a great performance. Marvin, at first I thought Marvin saw this, and he goes, you know what? Chris did not look good. Chris is a big name. This is the perfect fight for me.
Marvin is hold on, let me see.
Yeah, I want to see all good because I'm going to say, but if they're close enough in the rank, this is a fight that would make
Marvin's
sense.
number 14.
Okay, so Marvin's 14. Let's say Chris flip-flops with his opponent and takes number 11 or 12.
Yeah, Omari was number 11, and so Chris will enter the rankings because the other thing is that, we'll see what happens with
So that does make a lot of sense. Both men coming off of a win. Number 14, Marvin has a lot more momentum than Chris does right now. Chris is a bigger name, but Marvin's on a tear. But nonetheless, he's on a tear, ranked at 14. So we can't call out number 5, 6, or 7.
Right.
But number 10, 11, or 12 makes perfect sense in your climb to the top. So that fight makes total sense. I think the momentum that Marvin has right now, the way that Chris looked, it would be a tough fight for Chris if I'm
think
being
so too.
completely honest. But again, let's not forget that Chris is coming off of not. It's one thing to lose 4 fights in a row. It's another thing to get knocked out in the majority of those fights. Very tough to come back from. And Chris is a guy that gave me a lot of advice when I went through my neck surgery. Mm-hmm. Chris has had multiple neck surgeries. Yeah. Chris has had, I think he told me 9 elbow surgeries. Chris, I'm a guy that should not be able to fight anymore because of the amount of injuries that I had. Chris puts me to shame. Chris has had more surgeries, injuries than most people in the MMA. So what I'm getting at is Chris is coming off all these injuries. Chris is coming off all these losses. Chris is coming off these knockouts. But he's still determined. He came back. He was able to try to switch his stance up, switch his camp up, and coming to victory. So I could see him finding momentum. But if he's gonna work his way up the ladder or have to go against Marvin, he's gonna definitely need to look sharper than he did that night.
Well, he's actually going to be moving out of New York. He's moving down south. So.
Really?
Yeah.
From Rhode Island, from
Long Island, Strong Island. Yeah,
he's
leaving Strong Island.
South Carolina.
Yeah.
Man, that's a different world for him right there. But I think it'll be good for him. It was funny. As soon as the fight started, you saw that karate-ish kind of light in the feet style out of Weidman, and I was like, okay, I can appreciate this, but is he going to be effective with it? And that's it's just like looking good on the pads, but do you fight the way that you hit pads?
Right.
And I don't want to say he wasn't effective, but it was just his overall game. He did not look like the Chris Weidman of 4 or 5 years ago. Granted, he's not quite the guy that he was when he was the champion, but even after that, he still has a little bit of polishing to do. But I think this is good. When something's not working, you fix it. He's moving. He's making adjustments, going to a new camp, mixing things up. I'm happy for Chris. I'm happy he got the W. But yeah, he's got some improving to do. Or so I don't say improving. The guy's a world champion, former world champion, but he's got some polishing to do to get back on that road to be a champion again.
Yeah, I agree, and I wonder too how much of an adrenaline dump he had, because Chris, I think, even though he talks about there was a lot of pressure when he would fight at home and in New York and Madison Square Garden, and there's a lot of distractions. Obviously, the crowd helps him too, though. There's no way that a crowd doesn't help him. If you land something and you're dog tired, but you land something, the crowd is right behind you and they're all cheering for you. And so I do wonder how the Apex setting helps or hurts certain fighters. And I do think some people are better in a situation where they have a crowd, and I think some people are better when they're not, So I wonder how much pressure he was feeling and how much it would have been helpful for him to have a crowd to kind of buoy him up a little bit when it was getting tough. But I like the fight with Marvin Vettori a lot. I think that's a good one. And like you said, Marvin's got some heat, and also even though he's ranked lower than Omari, he's got more of a name. People know that name a little more. He's from King's MMA. Yeah. There's going to be more buzz on that. There's going to be more sizzle. He likes to talk crap, and so he'll build a fight up. And, he's good. So, and like you said, it wouldn't be an easy fight for Chris, but it would be one that made him prove something against a tough guy. So,
if Chris beating Marvin, even though Marvin is ranked below him, that would be a huge boost for Chris. I mean, to come to get in the win again against a ranked fighter, get ranked, and then beat a guy with a ton of momentum that, as I said earlier, ton of momentum, ranked 14, but that everybody is turning down. For Chris to take that fight and get the win over the guy that is turning down, it lends them credit with the UFC as well, because I know how it is with the matchmakers when they say, look, we need you to fight this guy. Everybody turn him down. Do us a favor. And if you take that fight and get a win, you become the best friend of the organization again. So it'd be a bold, great move for Chris if he can get that victory. Tough fight, though. Tough fight with Marvin.
It would be. It would be. It would be. And Marvin, remember, he went 3 rounds with Adesanya. So the guy's good.
Yeah.
The guy's good.
Yeah.
All right. So on the main card, the other one that really just was so impressive to me was Beneil Dariush. Speaking of King's MMA, everybody knows we love us some Kings. We love us some Beneil. He did not make weight, which was really odd for him, and he was so apologetic and everything, which is really strange. I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but anyway, his second sort of walk-off KO. He got one off a Drakkar close last time out. This time it was the spinning back fist that kind of landed more on the forearm even, but man, that was beautiful. And just he's like, no, we're good. Night.
Beneil. I mean, Beneil's a great guy. I've trained with him, rolled with him.
He's great.
He's always been. He makes me more of a fan of him every single fight as of lately. He looks so good. He's exciting. He's kind of a soft-spoken guy, and he doesn't look particularly like a killer.
Right.
You know, to me, you're like somebody's uncle or something.
Totally.
Like the nice uncle at the barbecue.
His hair's all salt and pepper now too and stuff. So
yeah, he's getting the salt and pepper hair. He's not like Beneil. You got a great body, but you're not like the most shredded guy in the gym. You got the salt and pepper. But when you get into the cage, you go a little crazy. You go a little psycho. But it's working for you. It's working for him. And so he is turned into one of the most exciting guys in the division as of lately. I don't know what clicked. You know, I remember, I don't want to kill his hype, but when he had that devastating loss knockout to who's one of the best strikers in the UFC, the Brazilian.
Did he lose to Barboza? No.
Barboza.
Was it? Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, he shot in on Barboza.
Right. The knee. Yeah.
I think it might have gotten the knee knockout of the year, or one of those again for Barboza. That was a hard one for Beneil. That was a tough one. It was being replayed over and over, and it's like, oh, this guy Beneil's so good, but when he fights the top guys, he doesn't look so good. Since then, Beneil has looked determined. He gets back into the octagon, and these guys they're tough, but they may not be the name recognition of Barboza's or some of these people, but they are lesser of a name, but equally as tough, because some of my teammates has fought some of these guys that Beneil is fighting, and they are as tough as they come. And Beneil is putting on these fight of the night, KO finish type of fights, and he's looking like the wild man. He's looking like the kind of guy, like the dangerous, scary guy. So I'm loving it. I think he said in his post-fight, you know, like, I'm not supposed to fight like this, but it just happens.
Right.
And another thing that we can both appreciate is his honesty. He is so honest on camera when he assesses his performance, when he assesses taking direction from his coaches, when he assesses what he said about giving my opponent the bonus.
Yeah.
I was mind blown. I was like, I want to fight Beneil.
He's so great.
This guy's gonna lobby for me to get the bonus after. I mean, great dude. But he's making waves inside the lightweight division right now, and so man, his momentum is soaring right now.
Yeah, it's great. He's on a 5-fight win streak now, and he used to be ranked higher. And so he's really trying to get his way back there, because on this one, coming into this one, he was 14. And so Scott Holtzman wasn't ranked. And obviously there's a risk when you take a fight against somebody who's not even ranked. But nobody was available for him. I guess apparently he would ask over and over to the matchmakers, how about this guy, you know, and this one's matched up with this one, you know, this one's hurt, this one you already fought, this one you already fought as well, and da-da-da. And so there really wasn't anything available for him, and he wanted to stay busy, so that's why he had to take Holtzman. For Holtzman, it was a great opportunity, because if he had beaten Beneil, that, you know, maybe he could have stolen his ranking, or it's just a really big name for him. So Beneil definitely was at risk in this one, but with that finish, it's fantastic. And so, 5-fight win streak in there. So, again, it's just going to make it even harder for him to get a matchup, though, because now that he's knocking people out, too, and he's supposed to be a grappler, you know, that's how he usually gets people, is submission. And now he's got these 2 knockouts in a row, and you're like, well, crap. How am I going to beat him? So, it's going to be tough for him to get fights.
And Beneil is a guy, let me remind everyone, he's an exciting striker, but the guy is even better on the ground. The guy is very solid on the ground. I've rolled with him. You can't get him off of you. And so he's such a well-rounded guy, man. It's really, he's a talented fighter that is having kind of like a resurgence in his career again. So I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Well, also, so Yana Kunitskaya got a win, and also Darren Stewart, who I thought would win, but I didn't think he would get a submission victory. So that was surprising. The Dirty Bird, Tim Means, got one for the veterans and stuff. But so I know you liked what, Kevin Holland, because I was looking forward to watching Nasrat Haqparast too, because he came off that knockout over Drew Dober, and I wanted to see like his bounce back fight, and I thought he did really well. I think he's really good. But you said you like Kevin Holland?
Kevin Holland's becoming one of my sleeper favorite fighters to watch right now, Karyn. I mean, he, you know, it's like I know the key to becoming popular in MMA, in the UFC. You have to just kind of like call out a big name, show your confidence, let people know, look, I'm here, and I want you to watch me, and I'm telling you, I'll fight anybody, and I'm going to knock somebody out. And then you do it, and then all of a sudden they're like, this is a guy to watch. You have to back it up. But Kevin's got that intangible where he's talented. He knows how to talk. He's got this, like, a bit of a swagger about him. It's almost, I don't know if this is a great comparison, somewhat not fighting style, but the way that they could fight and talk, and they kind of show it, kind of Kevin Lee-ish, a little bit of swagger in there. I'm trying to, but something about it, I dig it. I like it. He's talking during the fight. The referee's telling them to, like, be quiet. And I was, like, tweeting. I'm like, no, don't shut up. Like, keep doing it, man, because it's different. It sets you apart. Like, who talks a lot? We talked about him. Blanking on the guy's name, but a buddy of ours that we did UFC now with that I used to say fought in the TFA.
Oh, Bobby.
He just fought the other day. Bobby, you always save me, Karyn. I never can remember people's names. Bobby Green has the same thing where he talks to you during the fight, but Bobby's almost just like just talking low key. Kevin has this thing. Apologize, guys. Let me get that. Sorry, guys. Sorry, my phone. Somebody's calling in. But Holland has this thing where he's able to just kind of like show a lot of confidence in his body language, and then he backs it up vocally, and then he backs it up again by finishing fights. He showed his interest to fight, and the UFC rewarded him. They gave him a fight a week or two after he didn't get his fight, and he goes and puts on a knockout performance. So it's like he's the next kind of guy that could really climb the ladder real fast in his division the way he's fighting. Real quickly before I change the subject on it, Karyn, I'm very curious. Kevin Holland was supposed to fight at welterweight recently, and then he went back to middleweight. I'll be curious if he's a guy that tries to jump in both divisions or if he tries to stay at middleweight.
Yeah, because he's lanky, and he's kind of looks sort of skinny for a middleweight, you know what I mean? Yeah. But he's had a lot of success there. I mean, he fought Thiago Santos there, which is crazy too.
I was at that fight.
Yeah. But Kevin is, he's got a lot of personality. He's one of those guys where I remember at media day the first time talking to him, he was, just unknown, you know what I mean? You're like, well, sometimes you're waiting, and the bigger name people, there's a long line. You're like, whatever, we have a few minutes. Let's go meet this guy and see what this guy's about. And within like 30 seconds, he had a lot of personality, and he was like, oh my God, I'm so excited to do this, and I think you're awesome, and and you're just like, oh, okay, this guy likes to talk, which is fun. It makes my job easier, and makes my job fun, and then he fights really well, and he's entertaining. So I like him. I think he's entertaining to watch too. And like I said, H.E.A.T was good, and then also all right, what
I got it real quickly, Karyn. I'm sorry. Stop it. My alarm's going off.
Oh no.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. I had to put Alexey in a place. Sorry about that, Karyn.
No. It's fine. It's good. We had the wardrobe malfunction with Gavin Tucker and his shorts coming off.
I don't know if I saw that fight.
Yeah,
I must not have
him and Justin James, they were fighting, and he kept messing with his shorts, which was driving us crazy anyway. The whole time he was fighting, he would always adjust his shorts, which was driving us nuts. That's like not good to do that, obviously, in a fight. And then eventually they were on the ground, and his shorts had like completely come down, so his like underwear shorts were hanging out, and so he had these camo shorts, and his other shorts were like around his, but it was he needs to get his shorts situation fixed.
Yeah, gotta get that taken care of.
Let's just
I didn't see it. That was one of the earlier prelim fights.
Yeah. And then otherwise, I guess Youssef Zalal was kind of a standout. He's a young guy that trains actually with Anthony Smith. And so he was saying that he was the guy at the gym that never shuts up, speaking and talking all the time, who never shuts up because he's just this young kid, and he's, I don't know, 23, 24, something like that. And he's, Anthony said that he's just like your son when you're out at a restaurant. Like, don't sit, no, quiet down, do this, use the napkin. He said he's like everybody's little son at the gym. But the kid fights well. He's entertaining. Yeah. He's Moroccan. He's got that fun kind of kickboxing style. So he's definitely a kid that I would keep an eye on because, he had personality too when you started to talk. So.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't see all the early fights. I think I jumped in like at fight number 4 or something.
Yeah.
But I was pretty happy with fights. I thought they delivered. I thought we had some fun fights. We saw guys, like you said, Weidman to get back in the win column, and then Beneil to have that kind of highlight reel finish, and then the Black Beast deliver in the post speech and in the fight. I think a successful night all in all.
Yeah, very nice. It was fun, and it was nice to get back. So I'm not working this coming weekend, but I'm working the next 2 events as well. But yeah, this weekend, obviously, DC and Stipe, the Trilogy fight. We know that DC won the first one by knockout. Then the second one went to Stipe when he finished DC. So it's the end of the road for the Trilogy fight, and most likely DC's last fight, and maybe Stipe's. Yeah. DC said that he kind of abandoned his game plan in that second fight, and he should have taken him down, and he should have been using his wrestling more, and I think he just kind of started to hunt for that knockout because he was having success. And I do think strategically, if he sticks to that plan, he could have some great success. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but Stipe is younger and fitter and has taken less damage, I think, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. I agree. I think, he can have success in the wrestling, but from what we've seen so far, Stipe has taken DC down as well. Kind of, even though DC is the better wrestler, has more experience at the bigger level, inside the cage, they're kind of equal in that department so far in the 2 fights that they've had. If I was DC, I would have confidence knowing the first fight I knocked him out, and the second fight I was winning 90% of it until he made adjustments. But if I'm Stipe, I got to think, all right, the first fight I got caught. I made a mistake. The second fight, he was giving me his best shots, and I took them.
Yes.
I made an adjustment, and he couldn't take my shots. So I see the confidence and what both guys' game plan be in that fight, but with these type of guys, it's very, very hard to call who's going to win this fight because anything can happen. Anybody gets to make a small adjustment. Who would have known that Stipe is going to go to the liver shot after getting beat up for 3 rounds and then finish Daniel? It's just too hard to call something like that. But yes, if Daniel tweaks his game plan, puts a little more wrestling heavy, especially if it's possibly the smaller cage, then we can see a different dynamic in this third fight.
Well, that is an interesting thing that you bring up because that's something that we were talking about a lot. At work this weekend was looking at that cage and thinking how much that benefits DC for the takedowns. Mm-hmm. It's small. When you meet in the middle, especially those big guys, the first little black octagon is right there, and then you're 3 steps back. 3 steps for Stipe, and his back will be against the fence. It's small, and that does benefit DC.
Yeah, no, I agree, and so maybe. Even if DC didn't in his mind have my game plan to grapple more, it's gonna initiate itself in the small octagon. As soon as you walk forward, you guys are gonna be chest in chest, and so I think we will see heavier grappling. So that maybe does favor DC. We're gonna have to wait and see, but I don't know. It's a tough one.
I don't know. It's intense. Like I'm saying, it's intense to have stuff that's that major playing out in the Apex and stuff. And even just, same thing on Fight Island, when you have a title fight or you had Whitaker Till, I feel bad for fans that you're not there, right? Because even though, I might be sitting in the lounge or whatever, you still feel the energy and you're there and you feel how important these fights are to the people, and you know it is, and it does kind of suck that people can't have the fans there, and like I was saying on for a little nog, his retirement fight and he didn't have fans, and you know what I mean. So it is tough. It sucks that DC, if this is the end, and if it's the end for both of them, that part does bum me out, that it's in a place where they don't have a crowd, and he can't even really hug Joe or John after, you can't, that part sucks. So for me, it's that's the only thing about it that is a little bit of a letdown. But I think it's going to be a fantastic fight.
Yeah, I agree. And if DC does win and does become the champion again, will he follow through in his words and say, okay, here's the belt, here's my goal, and I'm going to take off my gloves and put it all in the octagon and walk away with no one there. And now that I just cemented myself, my legacy, am I going to just walk away and leave it all? I don't know. DC loves money.
I know.
Loves money. And Dana might come calling, so we're going to have to wait and see.
But that's what I'm talking about. Is he going to walk over and hug John and Joe and be like, peace out? Either way, win or lose? Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
I mean, and like I'm saying, Stipe could say the same thing.
Yeah. I hope they both don't retire. I mean, it's and then double retirement's so weird because it's got to be somebody's night. It's got to be like DC retired. This is the storyline. It doesn't want to be like DC and Stipe retired.
Yeah, right.
You stole my thunder. And here's the other 30-minute interview where they both cry and.
Right.
Oh man.
You're right. We'll
see.
All right. Well, cool. Well, that about covers it. You can follow MMA Heat across the board on all social media. Oleinik is our producer. You can follow him. For me, it's Karyn Bryant on Twitter, KB Heat on Instagram, and Karyn Bryant here on YouTube. You can just hit the subscribe button. Alan, where can folks find you?
Yeah, and follow me as well, guys, at Alan Jouban across all my social media platforms. Thank you guys for always tuning in. We appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, guys.